Has Steven Soderbergh ever made a bad film? Logan Lucky is about two West Virginia brothers who try to rob a race car track during a NASCAR race in North Carolina. It has an amazing cast, including Channing Tatum, Adam Driver, Daniel Craig, Katie Holmes, with cameos from Jim O'Heir, Seth MacFarlane, Catherine Waterstone. It is also directed by the amazing Steven Soderbergh, who did the greats like Traffic, Oceans 11, 12, and 13, and Magic Mike, starring Channing Tatum. I won't say that this is Steven Soderbergh's best movie, but it is probably one of his funniest, at least to me. It very much has the Ocean's 11 feel, with the very planned out heist and the execution of it very detailed, but it also has a very comedic influence as well, which I would assume is from Magic Mike, because I have not seen Magic Mike and have no plans to. You can definitely tell it's a Soderbergh film though, because it has very nice intricate details that you really have to look for, but also a very nice clean setup to the heist. My personal favorite Soderbergh film is Traffic, and Logan Lucky is very reminiscent of that with the specific framing and shots that he has in this movie. He sets his shots up very beautifully, and his cinematographer is great in this, surprisingly for a comedic heist film. It was filmed like it was an actual real heist movie. It felt very much like a high stakes heist movie, but it was a very relaxed high stakes, I guess you could say. You didn't really feel the tension like you would in a normal heist movie because of the great comedic performances from the actors. I had never seen Daniel Craig this comedic before. It was a complete 180 from James Bond. He had bleached blonde hair and tattoos and was serious, but at the same time it was just so lovable and weird that I was completely taken aback and loved every second of Daniel Craig's performance. I really wish he would do more roles like this versus James Bond, which, I mean, I know he's a great James Bond and action star and stuff, but he really should get into more comedic roles because he was really funny in this. And Channing Tatum, of course, was hilarious. I feel like any movie he does, even if it's a serious role, he's hilarious in it in any way, shape, or form. I have kind of a love-hate relationship with Channing Tatum. I was super obsessed with Step Up when it first came out, but then I got annoyed with it and Channing Tatum by default once it started being played everywhere and they made like 4 other movies. And he did Magic Mike, but I won't hold that against him since I haven't seen either Magic Mikes. But I really do love every movie that he's in. He always does a great job. And Adam Driver, I've really only seen him as Kylo Ren in Star Wars, but I know his performance in Girls is amazing because I have seen a couple clips of it, but I really love him in this role. He has to act pretty much one-handed the entire movie. His performance is amazing, and I really love that he's getting a lot more star power and a lot more acting jobs and not just indie stuff since Star Wars came out, and I can't wait to see where he goes from here. There were a couple really great cameos in this, like Jim O'Heir, who plays Channing Tatum's boss, but is best known as Larry Jerry Gary Gurich in Parks and Recreation. I really love all of the usually bit parts or small roles he plays in most movies or TV shows, and it's really great to see him as not a bumbling buffoon type character. And Catherine Waterstone, let's just say I wasn't a fan. I mean, I love her so much. She was great in Fantastic Beasts. Maybe I'm biased because I love Harry Potter so much. And she was okay in Alien Covenant. She didn't get the super big Ripley role that she probably should have. But I feel like her character in this just didn't really play a big role in the whole storyline and heist. I mean, she was there for like a 5-minute scene in the middle, like towards the second act, and then at the very end of the movie as well. And it just really didn't serve much purpose for anything except for maybe showing the path that Channing Tatum's character goes on from the beginning where he is to the end. So I think it was unnecessary. You could have shown that in some other way without adding this extra character, but maybe there's a bonus scene that I didn't know about. And finally, Seth MacFarlane. I was really surprised with his cameo in this. It was pretty funny, to me at least, and it took me a minute to even realize that it was him in the first scene that he was in, because he has this crazy wig on, a crazy mustache, this giant personality, and a British accent. It was so weird and crazy and hilarious that That was my main cue that it was Seth MacFarlane. I'd actually forgotten that he was cast in this movie when I went to it. And then when I saw this character walk in, I was like, he looks really familiar. And then all of a sudden it clicked and I'm like, Seth MacFarlane's in this movie. That's Seth MacFarlane. So when you see that, if you enjoy Seth MacFarlane and anything he's done, like Ted or Family Guy, which I didn't really enjoy Ted, but Family Guy is pretty funny, you would probably enjoy this because his character kind of goes for a little bit of a ride, and it's a funny kind of ride. I forgot to mention that Sebastian Stan actually had a cameo in this as well. It's an interesting small cameo that kind of pays off, which it's another thing like Catherine Waterstone where it's important, but it's a little bit more important than Catherine Waterstone's character. So it's kind of like a weird cameo that's not necessary, but kind of necessary. I mean, it's Sebastian Stan, and I'm okay with seeing him on the screen no matter if his role is necessary or not, so thank you, Steven Soderbergh. And I actually really enjoyed the kind of secret cameo that I didn't even know was going to happen. I didn't know that this person was cast in this film. It was at this point in the editing process where I realized I never watched the trailer close enough. And I was the only one who didn't realize that Hilary Swank was also in this movie. So please forgive me for being a big dumb idiot and tell me how much of an idiot I am in the comments down below. I usually try to go into movies that I'm going to review with very little knowledge besides most of the main actors and some of the story, plus what I've seen in some trailers. So I have kind of a fresh perspective on it, and that's why I didn't know that this person was actually in this movie. This movie is set between West Virginia and North Carolina, kind of crossing the state lines and stuff. And even though I'm not from the South like that, Indianapolis, where I grew up near, is technically the racing capital of the world. There is the Indianapolis 500, which is IndyCar, and we have a ton of NASCAR events as well. I even worked at a racetrack one day when I was at my old job, but I can tell you the people like the Logan brothers and the Crazy Hicks, like the Bang brothers, are very, very much real. There are some very crazy race fans that get really into it and are very redneck, very country bumpkin, and I just felt like I was watching a little piece of home, and I can feel a slight southern twinge coming into my voice, even though that was like kind of only when I was in southern Indiana. Now for my rating. I would give Logan Lucky I hadn't really thought about this too much, but I would probably give it another 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it, and I love Steven Soderbergh. It was hilarious, it was funny. I would definitely recommend seeing Logan Lucky over The Hitman's Bodyguard, especially if you don't like profane language and blood and guts. But if you like hilarity, I would go see The Hitman's Bodyguard, but this is also very funny and very, very smart. It's actually a really smart movie, and it has a very heartwarming story behind the reason that they actually do the heist in the first place. It's not just because Channing Tatum's character gets fired. And as always, those are just my opinions. I want to know yours. Have you seen Logan Lucky yet? What did you think of it if you have? And thank you so much for watching, whoever you are. I appreciate you. Let me know who you are in the comments down below, and let's be friends. If you like this, give it a thumbs up, and if you're new, subscribe, because I post new videos every Tuesday talking about movies, TV shows, nerdy stuff, sometimes my life. It really just depends on what I feel like that day. Every other Sunday I post a video checking off one of the movies on the 1001 movies you must watch before you die list. And most Fridays I do movie reviews on new movies that come out. So stick around and I will see you guys later. Bye!